And liftoff as the countdown to Mars continues. The perseverance of humanity launching the next generation of robotic explorers to the Red Planet.
Welcome to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California. We are gearing up for NASA's Perseverance rover to touch down on Mars. Happening in an hour and a half from now, the rover will attempt to land in Jezero Crater. It is the most difficult landing site on Mars ever attempted. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Raquel Villanueva. In the past, mission team members gathered in our mission control for landings. But this time around, we have COVID safety measures in place. Today's landing will look a little different than what you've seen before. I am in a room by myself, and so is my co-host. Here in the Spaceflight Operations Facility, team members are in different parts of this building. Some are in mission control, others are upstairs for landing operations. We also have isolated rooms for our guests on this show. In total, we have 8 locations covered by 14 robotic cameras that you will be seeing. One of those locations is the dark room, the heart of NASA's Deep Space Network. Think of it as a giant communication switchboard. This is where spacecraft phone home to us from across the solar system and interstellar space. The Deep Space Network has been tracking Perseverance since it left Earth, and there are lots of ways you can watch landing today. We have a 360-degree camera inside the control room. It lets you experience the landing right along with the team while seeing this broadcast. We also have the clean feed. It shows an uninterrupted view of mission control and audio. También tenemos un programa en español. To tell us about it is host Diana Trujillo, who also works on the mission.
Thank you, Raquel. We're so excited to be the sister live broadcast in Spanish. Sintonízate nuestro programa en las redes sociales de Twitter, YouTube y Facebook en la NASA en español para que nos acompañes a un tour virtual de la NASA con entrevistas con astronautas, con participación de artistas, con entrevistas con científicos e ingenieros de Perseverance, con Plaza Sésamo y mucho más. ¡Te esperamos!
Gracias, Diana. And don't forget, we want to see how you are watching the landing today. Use the hashtag Countdown to Mars to send us your photos and videos. To preview what interviews are coming up is my co-host from the JPL News office, Marina Jurica.
Thanks so much, Raquel. The excitement is building behind me right here in Mission Control as we count down to the Perseverance landing. We will be talking to some of the many people who made today possible, from scientists to engineers on the Mars 2020 Perseverance rover team to folks from NASA headquarters giving us a look into the future of Mars exploration. A little later, we will also be speaking with the students who named the rover and the helicopter. Inspirational stories as we prepare for another landing on the red planet. Back to you, Raquel.
Thanks, Marina. Let's give a shout out to the students around the nation learning about Perseverance's mission to Mars with their teachers. We're happy you're with us on this exciting day. Later in the show, we will be answering some of the questions you submitted through your classrooms. Landing on Mars is complex. The team will be calling out milestones as they happen. It's fast-paced, and you'll hear lots of technical terms. To help us translate and explain what is going on in Mission Control is Swati Mohan. She is part of Perseverance's landing team. Thanks for guiding us through landing today, Swati.
Hi, Raquel. I'm happy to be here today.
So, Swati, what is the status of the Perseverance rover right now?
So Perseverance is still in space right now, about 9,000 miles from Mars. So far, she is healthy and on course.
And it takes time to send signals between Earth and Mars. Can you let us know how that affects the information you are seeing?
So Mars is about 127 million miles from Earth right now. That means it takes about 11 minutes from light to travel from Mars to Earth. So all the information that we receive from Perseverance actually happened 11 minutes ago. So the round trip is 22 minutes for us to send a command to Perseverance and hear back on the ground that she's received that command. This is what we call two-way light time.
That's good to know. And can you tell us who else is in the room with you right now?
The operations team is split into two different areas. Here in the cruise mission support area, we have primarily the team that has been flying Perseverance from Earth to Mars. You'll see the placards with the roles of each of the people by their stations. Some of the people you may hear talking today are the flight director, who is the conductor of our operations orchestra here, the entry, descent, and landing activity lead, who is a member of the landing team tasked with understanding the execution of entry, descent, and landing, and then also the telecommunications and entry, descent, and landing communications engineers who will be monitoring the signal from Perseverance through the different paths that we have. Upstairs, in what we call the war room, we have almost the entire entry, descent, and landing operations team. And then across the hall from them, we have the surface mission control room, where the surface operations team is ready and waiting to take over as soon as Perseverance's wheels touch the ground.
And you have been part of this mission for years now. Can you tell us what have you been working on?
I've been working on Perseverance for almost 8 years now as a guidance, navigation, and control engineer, working primarily on entry, descent, and landing. One of my big tasks was to help with terrain relative navigation. Perseverance will be the first mission to fly terrain relative navigation. So while she's descending on the parachute, she'll actually be looking at the ground with a camera, seeing where she is with respect to the Martian surface, and choosing a safe spot to land that she can get to. After so many years of working on the mission, it's an honor to be here today as the mission commentator.
We're happy to have you here. Thanks, Swati. We'll be checking back in with you in just a few minutes as Perseverance approaches its next milestone. But for now, let's learn more about the rover's mission once it lands on Mars.
You know, Mars is the closest place that we can reach with robotic exploration that we think had a really good chance of having ancient life.
The Perseverance rover will land at a location called Jezero Crater. Jezero Crater is a very interesting place. It's a crater that once held a lake.
There are a lot of craters on the surface of Mars that could have once hosted ancient lakes, but not every crater that we think had a lake actually preserves evidence that that lake was there.
It had an inflow channel and it had an outflow channel. That means it was filled. The crater was filled with water.
In Jezero, we have probably one of the most beautifully preserved delta deposits on Mars in that crater.
This is a wonderful place to live for microorganisms, and it is also a wonderful place for those microorganisms to be preserved so that we can find them now so many billions of years later.
There is no other place on Mars that has the unique combination of a lake setting, a beautifully preserved delta, and the diverse mineralogy that we have in Jezero Crater. So it's truly a special landing site.
The major goal of the Perseverance mission is to investigate astrobiology on Mars, and in particular, to address the question of whether life ever existed on Mars. The Perseverance rover starts with a design that's very similar to Curiosity. We've added to it a whole new set of science instruments, and these science instruments were purposefully selected to help us in the search for biosignatures.
We're going to be taking microphones with us. For the first time, we're going to have that human sense on another planet.
Perseverance carries with her a grand experiment in spacefaring technology, a helicopter, the name of which is now Ingenuity.
One of the major upgrades that Perseverance has from Curiosity is that it's able to self-drive for a distance of up to 200 meters per day. As the rover is driving, it's literally building the map of the road it's driving on Mars.
Scientists for years have told us that to really unlock the secrets of Mars, we have to bring samples from Mars back to Earth.
So what Mars 2020 is going to do is to drill samples, put them in small tubes. We're going to seal it in its own individual tube. We set them on the surface to provide a target for the second two missions, which hopefully will get in development in the next several years and could potentially get the samples back to Earth by 2031.
Perseverance is a very, very profound first step in both our understanding of our place in the universe and a stepping stone towards human exploration on Mars.
You are watching live Mars landing commentary, and Perseverance is about to reach another important milestone. Swati, can you tell us what is happening?
We are at a milestone where the operations team determines whether they're ready to turn off the transmitter to Perseverance. Turning off the transmitter is like taking your hands off of the wheel. At this point forward, Perseverance would be on her own to execute entry, descent, and landing over 500,000 lines of code. Let's listen in.
Go. Propulsion. Go. Art lead. Go. Team chief. Go. Ace. Go. Launch Cruise Phase Lead. Go. Deputy Mission. Go. EDL Phase Lead. Go. Mission Assurance. Mission Assurance is go. Chief Engineer. Chief is go. Project Manager. Projects go. Mission Manager, all stations are go for transmitter off. Copy flight, go for transmitter off.
There you have it, Raquel. We have deemed Perseverance ready to execute entry, descent, and landing on her own.
Thank you, Swati. As we just heard, Perseverance is now operating on its own as it cruises closer to Mars. To help explain what this mission means for the agency is NASA's Associate Administrator, Thomas Zurbuchen. Thomas, this is our 5th rover sent to Mars since 1997. Can you tell us how Perseverance is going to kickstart a new era?
Wow, this is such an important day today, and it really is the beginning of a new era in a sense that we're going from exploration, kind of with experiments on rovers, looking around, doing analysis, to the sample return phase, in which we're not only looking around, looking at the geology, but really turning our rover into a robotic geologist and astrobiologist, collecting samples that we will bring back to Earth. And for us, of course, those are where the best laboratories are of all of humanity. Some of them still remain to be explored by some that are not yet in the science community yet. And that's what we're looking forward to. It's that new phase. The other element that I want to talk about is the amazing technologies that are there. And of course, one of my favorites is the Ingenuity helicopter, this in search of this extraterrestrial Wright brothers moment, you know, controlled flight for the first time elsewhere, Raquel.
Great. And we have a student question on video for you from Macy.
Hi, my name is Macy Ragsdale. My question is anything alive on Mars? Thank you.
Well, Macy, I'm so glad for your question. That's a question I ask myself. Is anything alive there? And frankly, at the surface where we're going right now with Perseverance, we do not believe there's anything alive right there because of the radiation that's there. It's chilling, cold, and there's really no water there. But guess what? We think that 3 billion years ago, this looked like a stream that you may see on Earth. And frankly, a lot more similar than Earth, with water with a magnetic field, just like the Earth, with an atmosphere. And the question is, at that time, 3 billion years ago, were there single-cell organisms, just of the type that developed on Earth? So is there life on Mars overall? We don't know. But where we're going right now, we're really looking for ancient life. And that's what we're so excited about.
Thank you for your time today, Thomas. And thanks to everyone who has been using the hashtag Countdown to Mars. Here are some of the photos that you've sent in so far. Let's take a look. Now, please keep sharing with us how you are watching this moment today. For now, let's go back to Swati for an important update to what's going on in mission control as we get closer to another milestone.
Hi, Raquel. This next milestone is a communications poll. So during landing, not only will Perseverance talk directly to Earth, but we'll also be talking to 2 spacecraft that are currently orbiting Mars, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter and the MAVEN spacecraft. This poll is to confirm with the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter spacecraft and the MAVEN spacecraft teams that they are ready and on track to support the relay from Perseverance. Let's listen in.
EDL comm flight.
Go flight.
Have you performed the comm check and readiness of the orbiters?
We have performed the voice check and the readiness poll and can confirm that MRO, MAVEN, EDA, Radio Science 1 and 2, UHF, DTE, DSN, and EDL GDS are all ready to support.
Copy, EDL comm.
So we've just heard that we have confirmation from each of the different orbiters and all of their support equipment on the ground that they are ready and are on track to support the relay from Perseverance.
Great, thank you, Swati. And we just heard that communications readiness poll, which means we are ready to relay the data Perseverance will send to get a better idea of what the rover looks like as it approaches Mars. We have a NASA program called EYES. The visualization lets anyone watching track Perseverance. Here's how the program works.
Follow Perseverance on its journey to the surface of the red planet with eyes on the solar system. From your desktop or mobile device, go to eyes.nasa.gov. Click on the banner, and now you're with Perseverance in real time through every step of EDL, entry, descent, and landing. This interactive experience lets you ride along from whatever perspective you choose. Click and drag, scroll in, scroll out. Check out the descriptions and explanations to increase your EDL expertise. Experience every entry, descent, and landing event precisely designed and executed to land Perseverance safely on Mars. The EYES experience is based on predictive data, but during this broadcast you'll see a different visualization called Ranger, and it's based on the real communication the team in Mission Control receives from Perseverance in near real time. This is the visualization the team will follow as data fills their screens while monitoring the health of Perseverance on its nerve-wracking course to another successful Mars landing. Enjoy the ride.
You are watching live Mars landing commentary. Stepping outside Mission Control to talk to us is Perseverance system engineer Matt Smith. Thanks for joining us today, Matt.
Hey, Raquel.
Well, coming from Mission Control, we are going to hear terms related to landing. Can you help us understand what some of them mean?
Sure, definitely. One thing you'll hear a lot about is telemetry. So telemetry is just our way of talking about data that's coming from the spacecraft and telling us important things like temperatures on the vehicle, pressure, how much fuel we have left, and other things that we need to understand for the health and safety of the vehicle. You'll also hear the word nominal, hopefully. Nominal means everything is expected, everything is okay, we're good to go. You'll hear also a lot about velocity and deceleration. So velocity is just our speed combined with the direction we're going, and deceleration is our slowing velocity. So we're coming in at over 12,000 miles per hour, and we're going to slow down to a nice, comfortable 2 miles per hour at landing, and that's our deceleration. Speaking of landing, you may hear a couple important terms at landing itself. One is RIMU stable. So the RIMU is a device on the rover that measures the rover's orientation and whether it's moving. So we want a nice stable landing spot without any motion. You'll also hear UHF stable, hopefully. UHF stable refers to good telecommunications link with the rover and indicates that we've had a good separation between the descent stage and the rover after the sky crane maneuver. Finally, you may also hear Tango Delta nominal or touchdown nominal. That means we've touched down on the surface of Mars within the expected range of safe landing speeds.
Thanks for that breakdown. Now, this is your first Mars mission. What have you learned from this experience?
Yeah, one of my takeaways is that you can almost never be too careful when it comes to Mars. You definitely can't take Mars for granted. You know, we've checked and double-checked and triple-checked everything on our way to Mars, and you know, even though we've done this once before using the sky crane technique on the Curiosity rover, you know, I think everyone's going to have their everyone's going to hold their breath until we're on the surface of Mars this time around.
And we have a social media question coming in. Nor the Door on Instagram asks, how complicated is the automated landing sequence, and who wrote the code?
Yeah, it's quite complicated. The automated landing software needs to do literally hundreds of things all on its own, just right, with sub-second timing accuracy. And it's the result of many hundreds of people over many years, stretching all the way back to Curiosity, and then improved for the Perseverance landing today at Jezero Crater.
Great. Thanks for your time today, Matt, and good luck.
Thanks.
Now, landing on Mars is hard. Landing on Mars during a pandemic is even harder. The team behind the Perseverance rover faced one of its biggest challenges when the coronavirus pandemic struck. Here's how they kept the mission going.
When the pandemic struck, the future was certainly unknown. It was like walking into a blind, dark alley. You didn't know what was there, what was in front of you, what you were going to have to deal with.
It's something that nobody expected. It's something that nobody could plan for.
So we all were asked to start working from home.
Rather than your first priority being mission success and getting to the launch pad, your first priority immediately gets displaced, and it's now the safety of the people.
And it took a lot of work to put stuff together in order to keep momentum going, to keep people working safely, keep them healthy, and to keep the project on schedule.
We called the effort Mars 2020 Safe at Work, and the objective was to keep the team as safe or safer than they would be if they were not working. You know, putting a spacecraft together that's going to Mars and not making a mistake, it's hard no matter what. Trying to do it during the middle of a pandemic, it's a lot harder.
And liftoff. As the countdown to Mars continues, the perseverance of humanity launching the next generation of robotic explorers to the Red Planet.
Certainly never done something like this before. Try to lead a team that's flying a spacecraft on the way to Mars while getting ready for landing, while doing it all from home.
There's no doubt that working in isolation, not virtual isolation, but in physical isolation from everyone else, is a challenge.
We had to rethink and redesign what it meant to operate a spacecraft in flight when we couldn't all be in the same room in mission control, seeing the data come down from Perseverance.
It was a major change going to that, you know, looking at everyone on a screen instead of in person.
Because of the pandemic, you can't just pop over your cubicle wall and talk to the person next to you.
It's definitely been a challenge to figure out how to communicate and get everything done remotely, but we've managed to make it work.
We are explorers. Our job is to go into the unknown, and this is just another example of the unknown.
We're really doing something that's transformative and trying to understand whether or not life evolved on another planet. That's the fundamental objective of this mission.
We're all still connected by this incredible mission and this wonderful team that we have the opportunity to be a part of. So that keeps at least me going.
Pretty much everybody that I've talked to that's associated with the mission has said the same thing, which is you could not have come up with a better name than Perseverance.
It's an amazing serendipity that we get to persevere through working on Perseverance.
Joining us now is Perseverance Deputy Project Manager Matt Wallace. Matt, just how ambitious is this mission, and how does this team stay on track with unexpected challenges like the pandemic?
Well, it's a very ambitious mission. You know, we're carrying not only a host of new, extremely capable science instruments to do that science mission that we've talked about, but also a number of technology experiments to provide feed-forward information into the next set of robotic explorers or even human exploration of Mars. So there's a lot for us to do. We look a lot like Curiosity, but in fact we're carrying 50% more payload down to the surface of Mars, and so it's been a big challenge. You know, and it was particularly challenging when the pandemic struck. It came at a critical time in our processing. We were just months away from launching. We're trying to essentially get the spacecraft assembled, do the final tests. It did not have a lot of margin in our schedule. And our focus just entirely shifted from that to keeping the team safe and keeping their families safe. And we had to do that quickly, to make the adjustment quickly. I think, we got through it with a lot of help. A lot of people stepped up to make it happen. The team was tenacious, and we managed to get it launched and fly it to Mars. Thanks to a lot of help.
And Matt, just how large is the team that worked on Perseverance?
It's a big team. A couple thousand people here just at JPL, in fact, have worked on the mission. And then almost every other NASA center has contributed in some significant and critical way as well. We have over 1,000 industry partners that have provided hardware into this mission from 44 different states, 60 different cities, and of course we have international contributions from Europe and many other international providers as well. So it's a big team. It's taken a lot of people to get us to where we're at.
That is a big team. This is the most difficult landing site ever attempted. Now, why do you think Perseverance is ready to land in Jezero Crater now?
Jezero is tough. I mean, it's scientifically fascinating because it's got a lot of things like craters and, rock fields and cliffs and sand dunes and that sort of thing, which are great for the science community. That's exactly the type of features they're looking for to learn more about Mars. But they're all landing hazards for us. And so we've had to add new technology to relevant navigation, which is the ability essentially to divert away from hazards. But we have taken this system through the same types of paces that we have in previous missions. We've used the same techniques, the same best practices for engineering verification, and in many cases, we've used the same people. This, in fact, is my fifth Mars rover mission, and I'm not alone. There's other people on the project in the same situation. So, the team has given it everything they've gotten to put it all out there and to make this successful, and I think we're ready.
Thanks, Matt, and good luck on your fifth mission.
Thank you very much.
Well, Jezero Crater is a location on Mars that has intrigued scientists for years. Let's head over to Marina to learn more about the science goals of the mission.
That's right, Raquel. Here to explain why we want to go there is Deputy Project Scientist Katie Stack-Morgan. Welcome, Katie.
Thanks, Marina. Glad to be here.
Now, Perseverance is landing on Mars at the Jezero Crater. Why is it that you and the team chose this particular area?
Yeah, so scientists believe Jezero Crater is one of the best places on Mars and possibly the entire solar system to look for signs of ancient life. Jezero contained an ancient lake and has within it one of the best preserved ancient delta deposits on the surface of Mars. And deltas form when a river enters a relatively open body of water, like an impact crater, and deposits the sediment that it's carrying into the lake. And we know based on studies of deltas and lakes here on Earth that they're great places to concentrate and preserve organics and support microbial life. We're also excited because Jezero exposes rocks that are between 3.5 to more than 4 billion years old and represent a variety of different geological processes.
Now, this might be a tough choice, but what do you think would be the most rewarding scientific discovery that we expect to get from this mission?
Yes, hands down, I think the most rewarding discovery I think we can make with Perseverance would be finding a truly compelling ancient biosignature on Mars. The rocks in and around Jezero Crater record a period of time when life first arose in the solar system, and we have the opportunity with Perseverance to study the evolution of the planet from a once habitable world likely capable of supporting ancient life to the cold, barren planet we know Mars is today.
And why do you think, Katie, it's so important to find out if there really is or was ancient life on Mars?
Well, the question of whether there's life beyond Earth is one of the most fundamental and essential questions we can ask. And our ability to ask this question and develop the scientific investigations and technology to answer it is one of the things that make us as a species so unique. And based on everything we know about Mars in the past, it absolutely should have been capable of supporting ancient life. So we can find out an answer to the question, where there were habitable environments, was there life? And studying the possible emergence of life on ancient Mars can also help us better understand the conditions that led to life on our own planet.
That's so fascinating, Katie. Now we're going to take a question from a student, Vara.
Hi, I'm Vara, and my question is, why was Mars able to sustain lakes and rivers ages ago, but cannot now? Isn't it cold enough to make water, and isn't it always? Thank you.
Yeah, that is such a great question. And one of the things that protects our atmosphere here on Earth and allows liquid water to be stable on our own planet is the fact that we have a magnetic field protecting that atmosphere. We think that Mars lost its magnetic field way back billions of years ago and left the atmosphere exposed to things like solar winds and cosmic rays that basically blew that atmosphere away. And once that happened, liquid water wasn't stable on the surface of Mars anymore. It was too cold and the pressure was too low. And so now Mars is not capable of supporting liquid water and likely not capable of supporting life at its surface.
Well, thank you so much to Vara for that great question. And a big shout out to all the kids that are watching out there today. And thank you so much to you, Katie, for joining us. That was so great.
Thank you.
Now sending it back over to you, Raquel.
Thanks, Marina. Earlier, we were able to catch up with the communications systems engineer, Chloe Sakier. She helps us break down the system used to track Perseverance during landing.
The communications infrastructure supporting Perseverance's landing is quite complex. We've rallied a truly global network of relay and communications assets to help us capture and record those precious minutes of entry, descent, and landing, or EDL. We receive a stream of engineering telemetry via these communication assets that helps us see and understand exactly what's happening. Perseverance sends direct-to-Earth X-band tones, each of which provides us with indications of critical entry, descent, and landing events. During entry, descent, and landing, we have two Mars orbiters listening for the ultra-high frequency, or UHF, signals from Perseverance. These orbiters relay these signals to deep space network stations on Earth, Madrid in Spain, and Goldstone in California. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, or MRO, has reconfigured its software to perform a type of relay called bent pipe. This will provide us with near real-time telemetry during entry, descent, and landing. We have coverage from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter from just before entry to a few minutes after landing. The telemetry we receive will be delayed by the time it takes light to travel from Mars to us back on Earth. Additionally, the Mars Atmosphere and Volatile Evolution spacecraft, or MAVEN, is recording these UHF signals and will be relaying that recording hours after landing. MAVEN will be covering us from around the time of cruise stage separation until a few minutes after landing.
Row to EDL reserved two-way non-coherent. This row reinforces CBM windows disabled. Our packetization will be on. It will turn off ranging and switch to the auxiliary oscillator. We will then start our real-time data products, reinforce medley on, and reinforce our remaining heater device states for EDL. At this point, we will be 34.5 minutes from entry. We will have a long 16.5-minute wait until the next autonomous anchor, which will occur at 12:30 local time. That next anchor is the EDL prep anchor. During this anchor, in preparation for cruise stage separation, the EDL nav filter will take the best inertial attitude knowledge from ACS and continue to propagate it via the DIMU. It will then idle ACS and IVP since they're no longer needed for attitude determination. We'll start the DIMU raw data product. We will disable TDS thermal FP and power on UHF, although we will not yet be transmitting. At this point, we will be 17.5 minutes from entry. The next anchor will come quickly in 2 minutes at 12:34 local time. In the HRS vent anchor, in preparation for firing our pyros, we will set the BCB discharge FETs on and the BCB charge FETs off. We'll power on the pyro firing cards and arm the Rover pyro bus. We will power off the cruise stage devices and stop flight software communication to the PAMs, all in preparation for cruise stage separation. And then we will fire our pyros to vent the HRS liquid and gas. We will then be 13.5 minutes from entry. We'll be 2 minutes from the next anchor, which is cruise stage separation. In cruise stage separation, we will start the X-band EDL tones and UHF will start transmitting. We will initiate the descent stage thermal batteries and open the power dead face relays between all stages. We will fire the PV1 and 2 to enable the descent stage prop system. We'll then perform our cruise stage sequence using our pyros. At that point, we would have transitioned to EDL commentary for the remaining until landing.
Copy activity.
OL, this is TAP 3.
EDL comm flight.
OD133, ready for display.
At this time, let's go ahead and do our EDL comm briefing.
Copy that. I would like to inform the team of our upcoming X-band telemetry loss just prior to cruise stage separation due to the transition to direct-to-Earth tones. We can expect X-band tones only until we have telemetry lock with MRO, which will be about 1 minute prior to entry. This means we will be tones only for about 9 minutes before receiving telemetry via MRO.
Just a question.
An additional note for the flight team,
maybe
no
because
need
I'm
to
missing
reconfigure
something.
telemetry
Are
viewers.
we just starting to do every other run out
where there was X-band telemetry before?
based on what's being delivered?
Additionally, for anyone who's monitoring a different subsystem, a reminder that EDL will hog the bandwidth of our 8 kilobit per second stream. We also expect loss of comm at periods of antenna switching, explicitly backshell separation and rover separation, and during a possible plasma
I'm just making
blackout.
sure I understand the
Finally, we
125
expect
jump to
to lose
127,
direct
129,
Earth
etc.
NSFK tones about a minute prior to landing
But
around
I believe
backshell
these planes are
separation
being delivered
due
more
to
quickly
terrain.
than
Now,
they are
though it is
ESS.
unlikely we could also lose direct to Earth prior to this Earth set if we experience a TWETA overcurrent event, or we could lose UHF at mobility deploy.
OL, this is TAP
if we
3. Can you repeat your
experience
question?
a
Didn't hear you.
event that affects the Electra. Nominally, we expect to have UHF coverage through 7 minutes.
Yeah, I just wanted to
touchdown, 5
make
to
sure
7
I
minutes,
understood why
dependent, of course,
we're not doing,
on
I don't see
variation in our
sequential
touchdown
numbers anymore, but we're doing every other one in the run out.
Copy.
Correct. We're receiving ESS for every other OD solution, so we're running all the ESS we're getting.
Perfect. Thank you.
Activity flight.
Go flight.
We have EVRs indicating our telecom reconfig per expectation. Can you confirm?
That's affirmative flight.
Top 3, leave that up for another minute or two, please.
Wilco.
And our last window has terminated as expected.
EDL team in the war room, we were getting comments that some of people's masks don't look like they're tight, so please make sure that it looks like you have a good seal on around your mask.
Thanks, Top 3.
Sweet.
EDL activity off net for 5.
Copy.
Flight telecom.
Go ahead, telecom.
In just under half a minute, we're going to go one way and lose telemetry briefly until the station locks up again.
Copy, telecom. That is per expectation with our transmitter off.
OL, this is TAD 3, ready to show estimated miss distance for OD 132.
TAD 3, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Sorry.
OL 3, sorry. OL, this is TAD 3, ready to show estimated miss distance for OD 132.
Copy EDL phase, welcome back.
Okay, go ahead.
Flight ACE. Go ACE. Our tracking stations have all confirmed the results of the transmitter drive-off and in lock one way.
OL1, EDL strategic back on net.
GDS flight. Flight GDS. At this time, I'd like to disable the alarms before EDL main. So please disable all the alarm files.
OL1, activity lead 2, back on net.
Copy that. CGP.
Copy AL2,
Copy
copy
that, proceeding now.
strategic. Thanks. Thanks, TAD 3.
Activity flight. Go flight. So at this time, we should be expecting our EDL 2000 sequence execution. Please report back when you have confirmation.
Correction flight, that EDL 2000 sequence will happen at the continuation of the EDL start anchor around 12:08 local time.
Copy activity, thank you.
OL1, EDL GNC, voice check after battery swap.
I read you 5 bye.
Flight GDS.
GDS CIS flight is off net for 2.
Copy that. CIS, GDS has completed step 201. We have disabled alarms and started new RTTP processing sessions.
CIS copies.
OL Langley, off net for 2.
Copy Langley.
OL1, this is TAD 1.
Go TAD 1.
Flight,
we have an OD 135
the transition to EDL main mode.
Delivery and difference
we have
the
disabled
UT3.
system fault protection.
Position distance
armed
is now 147.7
and
meters.
are marking our EDL
slightly
critical
down
devices
from 148.1 meters on the previous.
Copy. Thank
activity.
you, TAD 1.
Welcome to EDL main.
Just a reminder, flight, that we'll have a 5-minute wait before we see the remaining telemetry in the EDL start.
Sure, please. All stations on EDL Labs, we are about 19 minutes from our time to be in our seats with no further breaks or distractions.
OL Langley, back on net.
Just so you know, those warnings that we saw on the transition are expected.
Copy activity.
OL, TAP 2 is going to be off for 2.
Copy, TAP 2.
OL, entry guidance also off for 2.
Copy, entry guidance. You're coming in about 3 by 5, by the way.
Activity in phase. Just be aware there's going to be something going on here on Vocus, so we may hold the updates for the next few events. I take that back. It looks like that might have gotten pushed a little bit, so we do have the room to do our updates here. Phase 2, this is flight.
Go flight.
So can you give the team a briefing on what happens at EDL main with the configuration of the system?
Yeah, so activity gave you a great rundown of all of the things that happen at this critical transition. But just to give everyone a little more of an idea of what this means for the spacecraft, we have just undergone a transition from EDL approach mode, which we entered about 6 days ago, to the EDL main spacecraft mode. And this is really a fundamental shift in how we've operated the vehicle since it departed Earth. Previously, the spacecraft was programmed to maintain thermal control, communication with the ground, and stable power margins, even if that meant interrupting programmed activities and dropping into a safe state. With the transition to EDL main, the spacecraft's #1 priority is setting itself up for success on the journey down to the Martian surface. So as part of this mode change, like activity mentioned, we have gone ahead and disabled all system fault protection responses because we no longer need the spacecraft to stop and wait for intervention from the ground to recover. In fact, we need the exact opposite. If at all possible, we need the spacecraft to continue moving through the events of EDL, depending on what is largely a single-string system with selective redundancy to do the best job it can. So this is a good time to remind the team that success of EDL is not guaranteed, but we can be assured that a large part of our design was flight proven by MSL. So also, as activity mentioned, we marked a set of EDL critical devices healthy, regardless of their previous state. And we told the spacecraft to stop any in-progress CBM windows and any in-progress SFP responses, although we had neither of those active at the time. Although many parts of the spacecraft are essential for EDL, the things that we marked healthy include the TDS, our landing radar, both DIMUs, and the vision compute element and the DMCA. We've also gone ahead and set the vehicle config in case we get a reset at the end of EDL to make sure that when the vehicle wakes up, it assumes that it is in the surface configuration. I'll pause here as we watch the rest of the events of EDL start.
EDL start anchor has continued. We've seen the EDL 2000 sequence complete, powering off the LCAM heater. We are proceeding to reinforce device states.
OL1, entry guidance back on net. How do you read me?
Bye-bye.
Reacquire our knowledge to pseudo-celestial IMU.
OL2, tap 2 is back on net.
Copy, tap 2.
OL guidance 2, take 2.
Copy activity.
Copy guidance. OL2, OL1, can you take the con for 2 minutes?
Copy that.
Thank you.
The flight, the warnings we saw so far are all expected.
Copy activity. Okay, phase 2, you want to continue the description you were giving?
Yeah, sure, flight. Right now we're doing two things. We're taking this opportunity to reinforce the state of the spacecraft. A lot of the actions that we're doing right now, the devices are already in this state. This is something that we do just to make sure that the spacecraft is in the state we want it after any type of fault protection responses may have been executing. Of course, we didn't have that situation today, but that's why some of these actions are here. Since we've started the EDL start anchor, we have gone ahead and turned on the backup REPA. We've also turned off the LCAM heater, which was preheating the LCAM to the appropriate temperature for the beginning of EDL, so it can coast down thermally and be at the right temperature when we use it later on, just before backshell step. We also have our RCS cat beds still on and heating up those thruster cat beds as we prepare to fire them for the first time during guided entry. We should have no change in our avionics state except for the RU REANET that we saw at the beginning, and our flight software execution state should remain the same. But the backup computer running Second Chance will have armed itself and it is prepared to take over as we go through EDL if we should experience any type of reset from the prime computer.
OL1 back on net.
Copy that. OL2 going off net for 2.
Copy.
As we speak, we are transitioning CBM states, and I think activity is going to give us a little more information on that in their update.
Yeah, copy phase. The CBM change, as I mentioned previously, is to the EDL reserve two-way non-coherent
Right
row.
here, activity.
Copy flight.
EDL phase, go ahead.
I'd like to see pep talk, I guess, to the team. All right. I'm terrible at pep talks. I think my reputation precedes me there. And look, I know this hasn't been easy, right? I'm not even sure we've even been all in the same room at the same time. I mean, I'm staring at folks across the internet as well. Even now, right? Yeah. Voice check. Okay. I do want to just extend my heartfelt appreciation from the EDL team to the launch cruise team. You've done everything we've asked for, right? I mean, you've battled anomalies, you've dealt with CEFIs, you've done everything. You delivered a healthy spacecraft to the place that we want to go, and she's right on target, right? We did the last maneuver literally 2 months ago, right? This is pretty incredible, in my opinion. And she's armed with the right information to help us land. Doing the parameter update last night, we're ready to roll. You've done everything right. And you've put up with us too, right? You've put up with our eccentricities and the things we like to do in EDL land. So I very much appreciate that. So you all should sleep in on Friday, since you guys have earned it. Thanks for literally and figuratively putting us in the right position to succeed. And let's land on Mars together.
Copy EDL phase. And as flight director, I also would like to thank the whole team, cruise ops, EDL ops, EDL team, and the surface ops as well. It's been an amazing journey. I think we all know that. And it's been my honor and pleasure to work with you all side by side. And your tireless efforts and endurance in the face of our challenges has been truly, truly inspiring. So kudos to you. Mission, would you like to say something?
Yeah, just echoing the same words that Al and Magdi have mentioned. You guys have overcome great obstacles in the last 6.5 months, and it started with an earthquake in this room on launch day at L-20 minutes. So I can't be more proud than all of the achievements that you guys have pulled off in the last 6.5 months. Whatever happens in the next hour and a half, you can be proud of the achievements that you've accomplished so far. I look forward to seeing you on the other side, and I only wish that the rest of our team could be sharing this moment with us. This is a very unusual event. This room is only half as full as it would be if we weren't in this pandemic. So missing everybody on the team who's not with us here today. And go EDL.
Welcome to the EDL family.
Oh, 102 back on net.
And with that, Godspeed, Perseverance. All right, activity. Go ahead and continue the report.
Sure thing, Flight. We've since completed the EDL start anchor. As I was mentioning, we changed our CBM row to EDL reserve two-way non-coherent. That row reinforces our CBM windows disabled, keeps our packetization on, it turns off our ranging and switches to the auxiliary oscillator. We have also started our real-time data products and reinforced Medley on. At this time, our next anchor will be at 12:30 local time.
Copy activity.
OL1, this is TAD1.
Go TAD1.
I have an OD136 comparison with EP3. The position delta is now 147.3 meters, up very slightly from the 147.7 meters we had previously.
Copy. This may be our last look before we stop stealing the screen. Do you want to go ahead and show it? With the viewplane, if you have it. Thanks.
Okay, all stations, as with our tradition, we usually would have some peanuts at this moment. We all had our peanuts at lunch, but to keep our tradition, I will take one peanut for all of us to keep our tradition.
Oh, well, this is TAD3.
Go.
Missed distance for OD133 is 810 meters.
Copy. Do you have a pair of runouts on a plot you'd like to share?
Yes, I do.
Please do. Thank you, TAD3.
Flight Telecom.
Go ahead, Telecom.
Telecom, I just want to let you know that radio science reports that despite the inclement weather in West Virginia, the Green Bank telescope was able to point at Mars. There was a threat that they were not going to be able to do it because of the rain and snow, and the ice, but they are doing it.
Copy, Telecom. Great news.
Showing us how you're celebrating the Perseverance landing right now. And remember to hashtag countdown to Mars and send those in. We would love to show them off. Look at these kids. They are getting so excited. Everyone's watching it. A lot of classrooms are watching it. Oh, and great, someone did a Lego version of Perseverance, which is awesome. It looks fantastic. We love getting all your pictures out there. We've gotten a lot of artwork from kids, which has been great. I know I have a 9-year-old John at home, and he loves to draw the rover. And look at that. That is awesome. That's better than anything I could bake, that's for sure. Perseverance in a cake. That looks so great. Delicious. I want to get into that. Another great send-in from David Bowie Reel. Thank you so much for your submissions. Remember, hashtag countdown to Mars. We love to see how you're celebrating. Now, you might know our next guest from shows like Emily's Wonder Lab. Joining me now is Emily Calandrelli. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Now, you are very passionate about getting kids interested in science and space exploration. Why do you think kids are so excited about space?
Well, I know the reason I'm excited about space, and I think it's the same reason that many others are excited about space, and it's that the people in the space industry work to answer two of the biggest questions that humans have ever asked. Are we alone in the universe, and where did we all come from? And by sending a rover to Mars, we are gaining evidence for the answers to these questions, more evidence than we ever had before, and I think that's so exciting.
It is, and I know you get loads of interesting questions from kids. Have you gotten any about Mars specifically?
Oh my gosh, yes. Everybody loves Mars. It's in movies and books and TV shows, and everybody loves Mars. So one of the things that I get asked a lot is that, it's called the red planet. Why is it red? Well, it's red because it's literally rusty. The top layer of soil on Mars has iron oxide in it, or rust, and rust has that brownish red color. So it's red because it's rusty. And also because it's red, they ask, is it red hot? Is it really hot on Mars? And well, no, actually, it's colder than the Earth. It's farther away from the sun. So as you would imagine, it's a little bit colder than the Earth. It also has a really thin atmosphere. So the heat that it does have, it has a hard time keeping in. And so it's a little bit colder. But then I also get asked, what would I weigh on Mars? That's a really fun question. So on Mars, it's a little bit smaller than the Earth, so the gravity there is weaker. It's about 3/8 the gravity that we have here on Earth. So if you weighed 100 pounds here on Earth, you'd weigh 38 pounds on Mars, or 100 kilograms here on Earth, 38 kilograms on Mars.
Those are all super fun. I think even some adults want to know the answers to those questions, Emily. Now, why do you think it's so important to educate kids about science and give them that great foundation?
Well, science is the language of nature, and learning about science and learning how to think like a scientist means you are learning how to systematically seek out truth in the world. You are learning the scientific method. You're learning how to be a critical thinker. And honestly, those skills are great for whatever you end up wanting to do in life.
True. If you want to be a scientist or an opera singer, that holds true. And what are you most excited about today?
I mean,
humans are launching a robot to Mars. That doesn't happen every day. I think in all of the hecticness that is going on today and all of the nerves, I just hope everyone can take a moment to sit back and remember that we live in a time when humans have the ability to send a robot to another planet. And that's so cool to me.
It is very cool, Emily. Take a deep breath. Thanks for joining us here.
Thanks for having me.
Sending it back to you now, Raquel.
Thanks, Marina. We are offering lots of ways to ride along with us to Mars. Now put yourself right into the action now with our Perseverance photo booth. You can pose next to the rover, place yourself in our mission control, and even see what you might look like taking a selfie on the red planet. There, you'll also have a chance to sign up to send your name to Mars on NASA's next flight to the red planet. It's all available at go.nasa.gov/Mars 2020 Toolkit. And joining us now is JPL Chief Engineer and Landing Veteran Rob Manning. He will be breaking down key moments coming up, and very few people know more about landing on Mars than Rob, going back to the Pathfinder mission in 1997. Thanks for joining us today, Rob.
Thank you very much, Raquel, for having me here. And what a wonderful experience. What a wonderful day for a beautiful day in California. We're just also excited here, anxious, worried, but very hopeful.
Rob, I have a question for you. There is a landing tradition at JPL that involves eating peanuts for good luck. Can you tell us how did that start?
Yes, it started in the mid-1960s. What happened was we had a series of missions that had failures. The Ranger program in the early 1960s, one after another, failed. And what happened was one day a fellow by the name of Dick Wallace on Ranger number 7, on the 7th attempt, decided to bring peanuts to the ops area just before the launch, and guess what? That mission worked. Now, we're not supposed to be too superstitious. We're engineers and scientists after all, but we love tradition. And ever since then, before launch and before critical events like entry, descent, landing, we have brought out peanuts and shared them with the team. And it's been really a wonderful little experience. And so this is something we're doing right now, and it's something that we just can't help ourselves. It's just part of the experience.
Oh, well, speaking of the experience, how did the Perseverance team keep the tradition alive this year?
Well, this year we're passed out little packets of peanuts to the team, and they can sneak one peanut in their mouth as part of to keep the tradition alive. But this is part of the COVID experience, but we can't leave this one undone. So this is what we're doing, and this is going to help us land safely.
All right, thanks, Rob. I have some questions for you a little later on, but we're heading back to Swati Mohan, who is part of the landing team. She'll be calling out key milestone and events as they happen from Mission Control. So let's listen in right now.
So right now we're still about 20 minutes from entry, and the EL phase is giving a last-minute confirmation of what will be happening.
This is one of the things that allowed MSL, the Curiosity rover, to land where it did, and we're depending on the same type of entry guidance this time around to help get us very close to our target. As we make our way through entry, finish our guided entry profile, we'll do a maneuver called heading alignment, where we point toward the target and get ready to deploy the parachute. But before we deploy the parachute, we need to get rid of a set of balance masses that have been giving us a center of gravity, or CG offset, throughout the guided entry phase. So these are called the entry balance masses. We also call this maneuver SUFR, S-U-F-R, or straighten up and fly right. So we'll go ahead and eject those masses when we get a trigger from the GNC system telling us that we're at the appropriate range to the target to do so. As soon as we deploy those, we will no longer have a CG offset, and we'll be ready to deploy the parachute 17 seconds later. I'm going to hold here for EDL prep as we're about to start that anchor.
Copy, phase 2. And activity, please call that out when it's ready. Copy, flight. All stations at this point, let's limit our traffic on the net to critical issues only.
Flight EDLCOM.
Go EDLCOM.
As per step 205 in the OCP, we can confirm that MRO has started their first flu.
Copy, EDLCOM.
The EDL prep anchor has begun. We have stopped our AMAN, started the raw DP for EDL, idled the nav filter and IVP, and we are now propagating via the DIMU. We've powered on our UHF, but it's not yet transmitting, and the anchor has complete. We expect our next anchor to start in 2 minutes.
Copy, activity.
Phase 2 taking a battery change. Phase 2 back on that.
The HRS vent anchor has begun. Here we are reinforcing the BCB discharge and charge states. We are powering on pyro firing cards.
Flight, we're about 14 minutes from entry interface. The vehicle is currently preparing the heat rejection system that has kept the thermal system cool inside the air shell for about the last 6 months. This will allow the spacecraft to more easily cut the line in upcoming cruise stage separation, which is under 4 minutes now.
We have now enabled the Rover Pyro bus. We are powering off the cruise stage devices.
The vehicle is preparing for the upcoming cruise stage operation in about 3 minutes 15 seconds by powering off all the devices on the cruise stage in order that they can be safe once the cruise stage is jettisoned.
We are firing our first pyros to vent the HRS liquid and gas. The HRS vent anchor is complete. We will see the next anchor in approximately 3 minutes.
We are currently 12.5 minutes from entry interface. We are coming upon cruise stage separation in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. We're about 1.5 minutes from cruise stage separation, about 11 minutes, 20 seconds from entry interface.
We are switching to the MFSK tones. Telemetry will have stopped.
Telecom is confirming that the spacecraft has switched to broadcasting tones. These tones are received directly from Perseverance, but have very limited information content. We won't receive real-time information until about 9-10 minutes from now, once the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter starts relaying information from Perseverance. We are under 1 minute from cruise stage separation, about 10.5 minutes from entry interface.
We are seeing the heartbeat tones.
We're continuing to receive tones from Perseverance, standing by for cruise stage separation.
RCS priming.
Cruise stage sep.
We have indication that cruise stage separation has been confirmed by the spacecraft. In about 1 minute, Perseverance's landing software will wake up and begin the final preparations for entry. The first action it will do is to fire warm-up pulses with its entry thrusters. These pulses ensure that the spacecraft gets the thrust that it wants during entry interface. We're about 9 minutes from entry interface.
I have confirmation that we got shadowed by the cruise stage as it passed through our beam to the Earth.
Telecom indicated actually that we could see a signal that the cruise stage went between the Perseverance entry capsule and Earth. So we saw a little blip, the data stream indicating cruise stage separation. We have confirmation that the vehicle has started warming up those entry thrusters. Warm-up pulses have begun.
Spin down.
At this point, the spacecraft is trying to stop its spin
CBM.
from the cruise 2 revolutions per minute down to 0, and then will turn to its desired orientation from entry. It will separate the 2 balance masks that has kept it balanced during all of cruise. This will allow the entry capsule to have lift when it enters the atmosphere. We have confirmation that the spacecraft has turned to the desired entry attitude. We are about 7.5 minutes from entry interface.
MRO reports carrier lock. The DTE from Radio Science from Green Bank reports carrier lock. You see the carrier on the downlink.
Flight Local 1.
We are continuing to wait for entry interface. We're about 6 minutes and 45 seconds from entry interface. We have confirmation from Greenback that they are receiving direct-to-Earth telemetry via that path. The spacecraft Perseverance is currently transmitting heartbeat tones. These tones indicate that Perseverance is operating normally and has nothing significant to report. This is as expected. We're currently just over 6 minutes from entry interface. We're just under, we're about 5.5 minutes from entry interface. We're still receiving heartbeat tones. We expect to continue receiving heartbeat tones until about 5 minutes after entry. At that time, Perseverance will be no longer in view of our antennas here on Earth. About 90 seconds prior to entry, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter should begin receiving telemetry from Perseverance and streaming it to Earth in near real time. There are a few expected short outages, such as when we have a plasma blackout or when we enter the peak heating phase. Aside from these outages caused by the plasma blackout, antenna switching, or high dynamic events, spacecraft events, we should have telemetry until about 90 seconds after landing. A plasma blackout is when the signal from Perseverance isn't strong enough to make it through the superheated, super fast air flowing around the spacecraft all the way down to Earth. Once the temperature drops below that peak heating, we do reacquire the signal from Perseverance. We are currently about 4.5 minutes from entry interface. Perseverance continues to report heartbeat tones, indicating everything is nominal.
MRO reports the electro radio is powered on, ready to receive signals from the lander.
Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has reported that it's ready to receive the signals from Perseverance. It should be in a few minutes here. We're just
Flight Local 1
from entry interface. around this time, a second spacecraft, MAVEN, should begin picking up telemetry from Perseverance and will continue to record that telemetry until several minutes post-landing. We won't get that data for several hours after landing as it's being recorded and then will be forwarded to Earth later. We are continuing to receive heartbeat tones, indicating that everything is nominal. We're currently at about 3 minutes until entry interface. We are 2 minutes from entry interface. Perseverance is to transmit heartbeat tones, indicating everything is nominal. We're just under 2 minutes from entry interface. As it gets closer to Mars, Perseverance is actually being pulled in by gravity and accelerating. By the time Perseverance reaches entry interface point, she should be going just under 5.4 kilometers per second. We're at about 90 seconds from entry interface and standing by for Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to pick up the telemetry. We are 1 minute from entry interface.
MROs are in receive mode.
We have confirmation that the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter is now relaying data from Perseverance. We're about 30 seconds from entry interface. Perseverance is going about 5.2 kilometers per second and is about 190 kilometers altitude above the surface of Mars.
Confirm UHF data flow.
About seconds from entry
MTLW
interface.
on.
5.3 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 150 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Entry.
We have confirmation of entry interface. Perseverance is currently going 5.3 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 120 kilometers from the surface of Mars. The spacecraft is now waiting until it begins feeling the atmosphere of Mars to slow it down. Once there is enough atmosphere, it will start controlling its path to the landing target.
Doppler indicates entry into the atmosphere.
Navigation is also confirming that we can see a little bit of that slowdown of the atmosphere on the Perseverance entry capsule. Our current velocity is about 5.36 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 67 kilometers from the surface.
We are probably seeing MRO plasma blackout at this point.
Bank 1 completed.
MRO has lost lock.
Properly indicate reversal, bank reversal.
We have indications that Perseverance is now performing bank reversals in the atmosphere. These are the steps in order to control its distance to the landing target. Perseverance has just passed through the point of maximum deceleration and has indicated that it felt approximately 10 Earth Gs of deceleration.
MRO has lock again.
Properly indicate reversal.
Bank 2 complete.
We saw a small outage of the UHF telemetry from Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter during that peak heating phase, likely caused by the plasma blackout. Perseverance is still continuing to perform bank reversals in the atmosphere to control its distance to the landing target.
Properly indicate reversal.
End of range control, range minus 1.9 kilometers, cross range minus 2.4 kilometers.
Perseverance is going about 1 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 16 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have entered heading alignment, which means Perseverance is no longer trying to control the distance to Mars, but to the target on Mars, but instead is flying straight to the target. Our current velocity is about 550 meters per second at an altitude of about 15 kilometers from the surface.
MRO is reporting good telemetry lock.
We are coming upon the
start.
We are starting the straighten up and fly right maneuver,
UBMD jettison,
where the spacecraft will jettison the entry balance masses in preparation for parachute deploy and to roll over to give the radar a better look at the ground.
Indicate chute deploy.
The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed, and we are seeing significant deceleration in the velocity. Our current velocity is 440 meters per second at an altitude of about 12 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Heat shield set.
Perseverance has now slowed to subsonic speeds, and the heat shield has been separated. This allows both the radar and the cameras to get their first look at the surface. Current velocity is 145 meters per second at an altitude of about 9.5 kilometers above the surface.
Nav filter converge. Velocity solution 3.3 meters per second. Altitude 7.4 kilometers.
Now has radar lock on the ground. Current velocity is about 100 meters per second, 6.6 kilometers above the surface of Mars. Perseverance is continuing to descend on the parachute. We are coming up on the initialization of terrain relative navigation and subsequently the priming of the landing engines. Our current velocity is about 90 meters per second at an altitude of 4.2 kilometers.
OVS valid.
We have confirmation that the lander vision system has produced a valid solution and part of terrain relative navigation.
Priming. TBA is nominal.
We have priming of the landing engines.
Back shell set.
Is 83 meters per second at about 2.6 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have confirmation that the back shell has separated. We are currently performing the divert maneuver. Current velocity is about 75 meters per second at an altitude of about 1 kilometer off the surface of Mars.
TRN Safety Bravo.
We have completed our terrain relative navigation. Current speed is about 30 meters per second, altitude of about 300 meters off the surface of Mars.
SDS level.
Constant velocity
104.
Constant velocity accordion, altitude error.
We have started our constant velocity accordion, which means we are conducting the sky crane, about to conduct the sky crane maneuver.
We've lost direct-to-Earth tones.
Throttle down.
Sky crane maneuver has started. About 20 meters.
Tango Delta.
Orbit.
Nominal.
We're getting signals from MRO.
Remu stable.
UHF is good.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the signs of past life. At this point, the descent stage has flown away to a safe distance. Perseverance is continuing to transmit direct through Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to Earth.
MRO reports they're still getting telemetry from the lander.
All right, all stations. Touchdown confirmed. We're going to wait for the images.
OL3, OL1, you have what you need?
OL3, I have what I need. Flight, we have seen the completion of EDL 3000.
Copy.
Copy activity. That is as expected.
MRO is still seeing a strong signal from the lander.
Flight, this is OL3. I am ready to share.
OL3, you are go. For those on M.
All stations stand by for the images.
Yes! Woo!
Flight, this is OL3. I have the target point on the map when you are ready. We are ready, OL3. Go for it.
Oh my goodness! Oh. Yikes! Oh my goodness.
Flight, I'll be moving in, showing you the safe zone that we've landed in. OL flight.
TRN. TRN.
Can we get the cliff image, OL?
Activity, this is OL. Can you repeat that request on M20 EDL off?
Oh, well, can we get the other image? Should show the cliff.
I'm sorry, say what image again? I'm not understanding.
Flight OL3.
OL3.
You can see we've landed about 35 meters from the nearest rocks that we could identify from orbit by their shadows.
Copy OL3, TRN in action.
Yep. Take that, Desiro. Woo!
I remember this spot. It looks good.
Copy OL3. I'm sure that you have seen them all and you recognize them all. So
Flight reports Electra still in lock with the lander.
Flight, we have seen the transition to surface. EDL is done.
Woo! Woo-hoo! Transition to surface. All stations
Thank you, MRO.
Congratulations, Perseverance team, and the whole team that's not here as well. Excellent job.
All stations on M20 EDL ops, we have transitioned to surface as reported downstairs. If you're part of that story to the surface team, make sure you're starting to work those inputs, please.
OL1, this is AL2, voice check.
I read you 5 by.
I just want to announce to everybody I've taken a first pass at the surface transition report. I've got some numbers from the script, and I'm awaiting inputs from a couple people still, and confirmation from others. It's ready for review.
Copy. The end of that was it's ready for review. Are you asking people to take a look at your CASHA report?
That's right. It's ready for review. I'm looking for confirmation from a handful of folks on some of the values before making it final.
Copy. Do you want that confirmation over this net?
The process is to work it over email. I've sent out an email that they can reply to.
Thank you.
Who did you know? Yeah. Really.
TAP and TAD1, OL1. Can we go ahead and get handoff ready to go for our final Monte Carlo for today?
This is TAD1. We're already working on it.
Copy. Can you tell me what OD that's on?
The latest one I have is 137. I'll go jump into the nav room and confirm that's the last one.
Copy.
Oh, well, this is TAP1. We're ready to run that Monte Carlo when the handoff is ready.
Copy. Thanks, TAP1.
TAD1, this is TAD2.
Go TAD2. Oh, sorry.
TAD1, this is TAD2.
Flight Ace. Go Ace.
TAD and TAD.
Just wanted to get permission to release the tracking stations and the NOPEs and everybody.
TAD2, TAD1 is currently talking to nav. Stand by. Freaking Medley too.
OL1, this is TAD1.
Go TAD1.
I confirmed that OD137 is the final DOD with all of the two-way data up until 20 gone.
Copy. Thank you.
TAD1, TAD2.
Sorry, TAD2, were you calling TAD1?
Indeed, I was wondering if you wanted to cancel that last Monte Carlo before we start this one, or if I should get HBC on it so you can focus on the handoff.
How far along is it?
$5,700 cases.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and kill it.
Thank you, TAD1.
was that for? Hey, Lynn.
Okay, all stations. Everyone. Everyone. All right, all stations. Congratulations, but believe it or not, we have a job to do now.
OL1, TAD1.
Go TAD1.
Are we ready to look at the handoff?
Surface flight, this is flight.
Yes, please.
Should I go ahead and just share it in the WebEx that we're working now?
Yes, please.
Go ahead, flight.
Just want
TAD1,
to
do we have
confirm
your
that
eyes?
your team is ready to receive Perseverance.
I am paying attention.
Copy.
We are ready to receive Perseverance.
Okay,
Are you ready for the briefing?
the new one is on the left.
Not yet.
The 121 is on the right.
We'll let the team here have... not yet. We'll
sorry, this is
let
going
the
to be hard
team here
with the
have
VOCA.
a few minutes with the telemetry, and then we'll do our briefing. Remember to put the details in capture for your counterpart on the surface team.
OD 137 spread.
And then we will do an over VOCA report.
And I don't think anything else actually changes
Flight, this
in
is
this.
Surface FD. Are you staying on Mars 20 ops or
other
switching
than,
to Mars 20 surface
hang on.
ops?
Before I scroll too far down, I want to confirm.
We are going to remain
so
on
we
M20
have
off
the OD
VOCA
112 EPU3.
Copy.
The only other relevant change here is going to be the OD 137 spread ESF. And we don't have any other relay orbiter changes, correct?
None that I care for us to incorporate. I don't think so. TAD1, your screen resolution, I can't actually read stuff very well, but you're saying it out loud, so I'm just trusting that what you're saying is what's there, just so you know.
Copy.
But I think what you described makes sense to me.
And we have no orbiter file deliveries from Monte Carlo this morning.
Thanks for confirming, TAP1.
Flight activity FNAV for 2.
Copy.
And there's no other
Flight
version
nav.
changes.
Go nav.
No other notes. So
nav is going to go off net.
That's it.
Great success
Should
on
we
the
add a note
surface
that just says
mission.
final,
That's great. Thank you.
final OD from
Nav, you don't want to
pre-entry?
continue?
Yeah, that's a good
Nothing
idea.
for you to do?
Thank you. TAP,
On
are
to
you
the
good
next
with this
mission.
handoff?
Nav, we want
am
to
good.
extend tremendous
Thank you very much.
gratitude for your efforts to you and your team and for giving us a great trajectory here.
You're welcome.
EDL OL 1 or 3, this is EDL phase on EDL ops.
Phase, this is OL1.
Can I get a copy of those pictures sent to me, where the map is, or where we came down, where we targeted, both in hazard map and not hazard map mode?
OL3 gave me a thumbs up. You should have those shortly.
Flight uplink off net for 2.
Copy, uplink. Okay, all stations.
Did all we can on Earth. We have mathematical models that shows how it will fly at Mars, and we've tested it in the simulated environment that we can create on Earth. It really is time now to do the real flight tests at Mars.
Nothing is a given, but we have done everything we can in terms of a test program here on Earth. The vehicle's performing extremely well so far. It's been doing exactly the right thing, even right now when it's bolted onto the Perseverance rover. So there's a very good chance that we'll pull it off, yes. But it's still high risk, and none of us forget that you could have a glitch that, could mean end of mission, yes.
It's going to be exciting, reacting to any surprises we have. We can't wait. What's really most important is everything we're learning here is for the future rotorcraft systems that we want to introduce into space exploration.
Mimi Ong is the project manager for Ingenuity. She joins us now as they await a chance to check out their helicopter in the coming days. Welcome, Mimi.
Thank you, Marina.
Oh my goodness, we've been talking about this for months, Mimi. Did you ever think you'd be here at this point? I mean, what's going on in your head right now?
This is super exciting. We have been working on Mars helicopter for over 6 years, testing and carefully designing it for operation at Mars. So what's going through my mind? Ingenuity Mars helicopter is finally at the destination that it is designed for.
Now that Ingenuity is on Mars, what is the timeline you hope to accomplish as you move forward?
We have a series of major milestones between now and Ingenuity's first flight. So tomorrow we'll turn on the helicopter and its base station to confirm health after experiencing the dynamics through the EDL just now. And the next major milestone will be when the rover deploys the helicopter to the surface. And that marks the first moment that Ingenuity operates on its own in a standalone manner. And surviving that first cold, frigid night of Mars will be a major milestone. We'll execute a series of checkouts, and then we will perform that very important first flight. And if the first flight is successful, we have up to 4 more flights in the 30 Martian days that we have set aside for our flight experiments.
And that's when you finally can breathe, right, Mimi? Now, why is it so important to have that aerial dimension to space exploration?
A helicopter flying far ahead of rovers and astronauts in the future can provide high-definition reconnaissance information for the rovers and the astronauts before they take the long journeys. And as importantly, being able to fly will enable us to get to places that we cannot get to with rovers and astronauts, like sites of steep cliffs, deep inside crevices, areas of high scientific interest. It will be game-changing.
Game-changing is right, and we've talked about this a lot. You've mentioned the risk is huge, Mimi, but the reward is high. What will be your greatest reward?
Our team started with the question of whether a helicopter can fly at Mars, given the extremely thin environment. And we systematically demonstrated a series of technical steps. We demonstrated lift first, and then we demonstrated lift and the first ever powered control rotorcraft flight in simulated Mars atmospheric density. And then we went on to build the full-up helicopter that can not only fly, but operate and survive autonomously at Mars, all under 1.8 kilograms, about 4 pounds. And each of these major milestones have been a first. And the success at each of these has been so rewarding. And along the way, the rewards just kept coming. And I have to tell you, at this moment, it's going up exponentially. So after all these tests, analysis, simulations, and more tests on Earth, our team now gets a chance to test, prove, and learn how it works in the actual environment of Mars. Our team can't ask for a bigger reward than that.
Oh, Mimi, I'm so happy for you and your team. And now we're going to take a question from social media on Instagram for you. At Not Vibhuti asks, is the helicopter going to be doing science?
Well, the helicopter Ingenuity It's a technology demonstration, and we are demonstrating the ability to fly and learning how to fly for the very, very first time. And so this is a technology demonstration and a pathfinder for future larger rotorcraft, future missions that will carry much larger instruments. So on this mission, we're not doing any science. We're concentrating on engineering data. How did the vehicle perform? And as you saw Bob Belram in the video before, we will be taking a few first ever color pictures from the flying aerial vantage point, but they'll be icing on the cake. For this one, this is all about engineering data and how do we fly compared to all our tests we have done on Earth.
Mimi, so much for your team and the future generations of scientists and engineers to look forward to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mimi, and good luck to your team with that first test flight.
Thank you so much.
Now, we look forward to the Perseverance rover and Ingenuity helicopter beginning their journeys on Mars as their adventures are just about to start. Go Perseverance and go Ingenuity. Back to you, Raquel.
Thanks, Marina. Landing on Mars is never easy, but this team has persevered, and NASA's 5th rover is on the red planet. You can still hear them buzzing in the back right now. And to get the latest updates on Perseverance as it explores Mars, follow @NASA Persevere on Facebook and Twitter. I'd like to thank everyone watching for joining us today. And to the students and teachers tuning in, we hope you learned a lot from today's landing, and thank you for all your questions. We have a news briefing coming up at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time. That briefing will wrap up the day and include reactions from Perseverance team members. We'll leave you now with some of the landing celebration photos you've shared with us, set to Youngblood's cover of David Bowie's Life on Mars. I'm Raquel Villanueva. Thanks for watching.
Good attitude for EDL. Telemetry looked great just before it was idled, and presumably ACS is now sitting in a new crater on Mars.
Copy. And prop, how much fuel did you leave?
The cruise stage burnt up with 55.91 kilograms of propellant, and the descent stage consumed 305 kilograms out of the 401 load. So we flew away with about 96 kilograms of propellant. But otherwise, propulsion performed nominally. We did see successful boot of the DMCA into MCSW mode as expected. We then did see successful activation of the 8 TVAs, and they were nominal. Closed-loop flyaway was then commanded nominally, and the warning EVRs after closed-loop flyaway are expected.
Copy. DMX?
Flight data management is nominal. We've had limited telemetry and EVRs, but based upon the data we have, DMX is a nominal expected state. We did see several partial data products, but those are expected as part of EDL. All of the data has been captured in Cacher for the surface operations team, so we're ready to hand over to the surface team.
Copy. GNC?
Right, this is GNC, though almost all of CEDL, GNC is on different places on Mars. One of the most important pieces is still on the rover. The VCE is healthy throughout all of EDL, performed its job admirably, and has the data from entry, descent, landing. So is go for Sol 1 activities to retrieve that data.
Copy, GNC. And ACE?
Flight ACE, all of our systems worked as expected. We have disconnected from the command system, and we have all 4 stations standing by for us to release them.
Copy. So at this point, the release, I'll leave to surface flight and surface ACE. Are you going to be surface ACE or?
The base stations won't be around when we're using them the next time. So.
Understood. They're probably done for the day, but I don't want to presume anything. I'll leave that up to surface flight to figure out.
Copy that.
Okay. And left the last here, activity lead. Is it activity lead 1 or 2?
Activity lead 2.
All right, activity lead 2.
Flight, this is activity lead 2. I can confirm
that EDL was nominal, as we know. I've filled out the Cacher report with all the key details about the landed lat-long position, the estimated touchdown velocities. We've got a estimated rover attitude in 3 dimensions from RIMU real-time data products in there, and everything is nominal. The one piece we're still missing is the MRO loss of signal time, but I'll be adding that to the report as soon as possible. And we cannot assess the state of the EDL cameras. We didn't get an EHA update since prior to entry, but otherwise, all is well.
Copy activity. Avionics.
Flight avionics, can you copy?
I got you.
Says nominal. RC Alpha is prime. RC Bravo is powered off. From the pre-EDL EHA, the primeness is as expected. We don't have any additional telemetry, at least I don't, indicating whether we swapped PAMs or not. But the RC spans and buses are healthy. The all PAM states are expected, and the avionics remote terminal